What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledParents. Now, in today's first story, this stupid entitled man steps into a boiling hot lagoon in Iceland, despite a sign telling you not to. I really don't know why, but hey, let's go. The metric system doesn't care about your entitlements. So, this was a few years ago when me and my wife, both Mancunian, that means they're from Manchester in England, were doing a mini world tour as part of our honeymoon. We were in Iceland and had been really disappointed to find out that the Blue Lagoon is man-made and is basically just a large outdoor swimming pool of water runoff from the geothermal plant. So, after some light googling, we found a place about an hour-and-a-half drive from Reykjavik called the Secret Lagoon. The place is amazing and exactly what I expected from a natural hot spring. Basically a large pond pouring with steam, a river running next to it also pouring with steam, and then a load of smaller bubbling pools of water and mini geysers that would blast water into the air every 10 minutes or so. The place is on somebody's land and they've built a changing room and shower area and charge about £12 to get in. Between the pond and the river, there is a roped-off area of small, deep pools that has a sign saying, "Warning, water is over 90 degrees, do not enter at your own risk," which is probably a bad translation of no entry, we accept no liability. Anyway, me and my wife were leaning against the side of the pond closest to this, and we notice a guy wander up, read the sign, then step over the rope. As he's walking up to one of these small pools, the lifeguard is running over and shouting, "Stop, stop! You can't go in there." Then the American accent replies, "Whatever, buddy. I can do whatever I want." By this time, the lifeguard has reached him and tries to explain to him that the water is between 90 and 110 degrees and that he walked right past a do not enter sign. To which the American responds, "No, it says enter at my own risk, so I am. And it's not very risky. It's hotter than 90 degrees in Nevada every day." This utterly perplexes the lifeguard, who has absolutely no idea what the heck the American is talking about. So I shout over, "Oi, mate, it's Celsius, not Fahrenheit." Now the American looks confused and says, "I don't know what that is. I'm going in." For reference, guys, 90 to 100 degrees Celsius is about 194 to 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Then follows about 5 more minutes of arguing between the American and the lifeguard, before the American obviously thinks, "Oh, F this," and takes 2 steps further to the pool and goes to put his foot in. Fortunately for him, but unfortunately for Darwinism, he only manages to dip a toe in before screaming in pain and hopping back to the changing room in a huff. The lifeguard sighs and goes back to his chair. What a frickin' divvy. Yeah, guys, for any Americans watching right now who don't know about the metric system, 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point for water. So what was it? 90 to 110 degrees this pool was. So pretty much the water was steaming. I mean, surely you can see with your eyes the water is steaming, like steaming hot, boiling even perhaps. You're not going to want to go in there. I mean, it's just so weird. I just don't understand this American at all, I'm sorry. Look, I get it a little bit, the sign was poorly translated, you can't really help that, but surely you see this pool of boiling hot water. Who cares if it says 90 to 100 degrees and you think it's in Fahrenheit? Yes, that would be quite cool for Fahrenheit, but oh well, still quite warm, but not boiling hot anyway. But you see the boiling hot water, does it not go through your mind, oh, maybe this is actually going to hurt me? Maybe this is boiling water that I'm looking at right now with my eyes. Who knows, guys? Who knows? Now moving on to our second story of today's video, entitled Dad Threatens to Call Cops Over Lunchbox. This is my first post on Reddit, and I created my account specifically to post this story here, because it's crazy. It takes place at my summer job at a day camp. I was and am a high school student at the time of writing this. I still work there, so I have to be a little careful about giving away too much and identifying the business. It was over a year ago too, so some of the finer details might be misremembered. The interaction is mainly between my boss, the head counsellor, and the entitled dad. So, it's the end of the day on Friday. Camp normally ends at 3 and the counsellors leave at 3:15. And Mike, my boss, the head counsellor, will stay with the kids in aftercare until the last kid gets picked up by 6 o'clock. However, on Fridays, the counsellors all stay late to clean up, usually until around 5 or 6. The kids in aftercare just play by themselves or we put on some cartoons. Mike usually plays with them, but as mentioned, Friday is cleanup day. We are all cleaning up and slowly the parents of kids in aftercare are trickling in to pick their kids up. Now Sam, the son of the entitled dad of this story, is just hanging out. Now we had another kid in the camp, Isaac. His parents had already picked him up. He and Sam had the same model lunchbox. We didn't have a problem with this until today though. So the entitled dad comes to pick up Sam and goes to get his lunchbox from the table. He picks it up and marches over to Mike and says, "This is not my kid's lunchbox." Mike sighs and says calmly, "I'm sorry, we had another kid this week, Isaac, who had the same lunchbox. I guess that's Isaac's lunchbox you're holding." The entitled dad scoffs and says, "Obviously, now get my kid's lunchbox back," and starts to walk out with Isaac's lunchbox. Mike rushes forward saying, I can call Isaac's parents, but I'm going to need you to leave his lunchbox here." No, they have my kid's lunchbox, I have theirs. This is my insurance, so I get my kid's lunchbox back. I will give this back when they give me my kids. I'll wait for them to come here." Mike is flabbergasted. All the counsellors are listening, but pretending not to so we don't get involved. Well, it might be a while to get a hold of Isaac's parents. They only left 5 minutes ago, so they could still be driving and not pick up the phone. Well then, I'm not waiting, I'm leaving. You have my address, I give you my permission to give them my address, and they can come to my house and make the exchange themselves. I can't let you leave the premises with another kid's property. Why not? You let that family leave with my kid's property? I don't think I've ever seen Mike more confused. That was an accident. I can't knowingly let you leave with that lunchbox. You guys are lucky I'm not calling the cops. I'm sorry? Your negligence let another family steal my kid's lunchbox. At this point, Mike is starting to get a little upset. "Sir, mistakes happen. Again, I apologize for this inconvenience, but there was no crime committed here." This goes on for a few minutes. Eventually, Mike pulls a 1000 IQ move. He was studying to get his master's in elementary education. He knows how to handle temper tantrums. "Alright, sir, I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, would you mind signing Sam out?" He hands the entitled dad a pen and a clipboard with the sign-out sheet. To sign it, the entitled dad has to set the lunchbox down on the table. The dad, of course, doesn't notice and falls for it. While he's signing Sam out, Mike quietly takes Isaac's lunchbox and sets it safely behind him. The entitled dad never even notices. Then Mike checks the contact list and calls Isaac's parents. His end of the conversation goes something like this. "Hi, Isaac's mum, this is Mike from camp. I believe I have Isaac's lunchbox here. Yeah, he and another kid had the same lunchbox, so you probably have his. Yeah, no worries. When do you think you'll be able to drop it off?" "Oh, really? No worries. Well, see you shortly then. Bye." He turns and looks at the entitled dad, and in an impressively calm voice, he states they will be back shortly to pick up Isaac's lunchbox, but they do not have Sam's. Isaac just forgot to grab his. It was so silent then you could hear a pin drop. The other counsellors and I froze for a second, but managed to keep the facade of, "We're just working here, don't mind us." The entitled dad freezes for a moment, unsure of what to do. I can see the little gears turning in his head. He comes to his epic conclusion, "Well then it must be here." Genius. He starts tearing around the room, looking everywhere from the lunchbox table to the play area to the game shelves to the office where the kids aren't even allowed in, everywhere. Mind you, we had been cleaning up, so everything was very neat and tidy. While this is going on, Mike decides on a different strategy. While the entitled dad is dismantling the last hour of cleaning and tidying, Mike crouches down next to Sam. During all of this, Sam had just been quietly playing with some toys. He was around 6 years old. By the way, guys, he's not entitled. Mike says to him, "Hey, buddy, do you remember where you put your lunchbox?" Sam nods. "Oh, good. Where is it?" "On the kitchen table." Everything stopped. The other counsellors and I couldn't maintain our indifferent facade any longer. We just froze. Half of us staring at Sam, the other half glared at the entitled dad. You don't talk to Mike or anyone at this camp like that and get away with it. Now, I briefly want to talk about Mike. He's probably one of the most chill, funniest, silliest teachers, counsellors you could find. Absolutely perfect for a job like this. He could entertain the kids for hours, break up arguments, anything. He would put on these funny personas and act out scenes with them. He was also my first career mentor figure that I had, and he gave me some great advice. If I was older, I'd say he's the the type I could grab a beer with. Just so relaxed and a great guy. He deserves all the praise in the world. Of course, I wish I could name him properly, but that would reveal too much. However, when he stood up, there was a look on his face I had never seen before. Gone was the silliness, gone was the fun, also gone was the tolerance for this entitled dad. In the most deadly calm voice that practically shouted anything but calm, he said, "Sam says his lunchbox is on the kitchen table, in your house. He says he never brought the lunchbox to camp today. The lunchbox isn't here." The entitled dad once again freezes. His face goes white, then red, then blue. I guess he was still feeling some of that 4th of July spirit. He stutters for a bit before turning to Sam. Now the entitled dad then says to his son, "Now look at this. You've made me look stupid." It was at that moment I lost all little remaining respect for this guy. It was also the moment I felt bad for Sam. Throughout the week, Sam had been a less than stellar camper. He'd thrown tantrums, was entitled, didn't follow the rules very well, etc. But then at this point, all frustration I had for him was replaced by pity. He had been raised in a house where his father's mistakes and actions led to him being blamed. He had been raised by a man so entitled, he would throw tantrums over a child's lunchbox. That's why I'm not calling him entitled kid in this story. He deserves much better. Anyways, Mike manages to put a stop to that quickly by just stepping behind them and non-physically urging them towards the door. The entitled dad though doesn't get the memo and turns to Mike. I still had some hope the entitled dad would apologise, but nope. The entitled dad decided it was time for small talk. "So, Mike, you in college?" Mike was stunned at this point. "Yes? What are you studying?" "I'm getting my master's in elementary education." "Oh, cool. What's that like?" "Great. We learn how to deal with childhood behaviour all the time, such as exploration of the world, strengthening communication skills, tantrums." He put emphasis on the last part. The entitled dad finally got the hint and walked out. We all looked at each other like, what the F just happened? Mike just shook his head and called his boss, the CEO, to tell her what happened just in case, and then we went back to normal. I later asked him about the entitled dad, and he said that apparently the family is really wealthy and buys a spot for their kids for every week in the summer. Then they decide whether or not they want to show up that week, not bothering to ask for a refund. Some families. Oh, well, that probably explains quite a lot. I'm sorry, but if you're able to afford to buy a spot for your kids at a summer camp for every single day of the summer, even though you're not necessarily even going to show, that is unbelievable. I mean, firstly, how wealthy are you? Secondly, what are you doing? Do you not have enough time, or are you too lazy to actually, pay for the days where your son is going to go? How weird is that? Oh, just such a waste of money, but I guess that just shows how much money this family have. And probably if you have that much money and you care that little about saving it, then I guess that shows why you might be a little bit entitled. I don't really know though, because a lot of people are very wealthy and are very nice. But I guess you get some extremely wealthy people who are like, yeah, I'm wealthy, I don't care about anyone else. Give me my lunchbox. I mean, just a ridiculous story, but another really good one. Wow. What an entitled dad. Overall, it seems like the dad has major control issues. Just the level that he would go to just for a lunchbox. I mean, clearly, I've just said he spent loads of money, right, on this summer camp every single day for his kids. Surely, if he's lost the lunchbox, you can just buy another one. You've got a lot of money, mate. Just go and buy another one. But yeah, at least you have Mike, OP, who seems like an absolutely amazing mentor, as you said yourself, and so calm in that situation. No wonder he's going through education and getting taught really well. He's putting that into practice, and I'm sure he's going to pass his degree with flying colours. I mean, how you act that calm in that situation and have that much, rationale in your head to go, actually, you know what? How about we ask your son where his lunchbox might be? Wouldn't that be a sensible thing to do? I mean, yeah, that is common sense, but nonetheless, great move from Mike. What a legend, and OP, thanks for the story. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. If you want more right away, then check out my entire playlist of all my Entitled Parents videos on here. If you're still watching right now and you see this playlist, comment down below how many videos are in it, because I actually don't know. It's a lot. I know it's like over 300, but comment down below the number. I want to know. And also click on it and watch them all if you have time. It's pretty crazy stuff. And subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.